Mayorkas was down on Capitol Hill, and he is telling you things that are just not true about the border. I mean, I've got some great sources who work in Border Patrol from times I've been down there, and they're just like, it's a mess. It's going to get worse. They do their jobs. You know, they know that they're overwhelmed. They know that the Biden administration is tying their hands in many ways. They do their jobs because that's what they have sworn to do, but they're in a tough spot. And Mayorkas has no real answers other than, oh, no, don't worry, we're doing a fine job. But before we even get into the border issues, this is the Department of Homeland Security, which is a huge federal umbrella for all these different. There's so many things that have been folded into DHS now. I mean, it is a behemoth. And here we have him saying that they've decided to create, at the exact moment in time, let's be clear, that Twitter looks like it's freeing up. Clay and I, we're just having a great time. We're getting new followers now it's like a fire hose. Isn't fascinating? A fire hose of new followers when it's actually a free speech platform for conservatives. And all these libs are like, I'm losing followers because they're going to go, what? People are going to go where and go to what? Here is Mayorkas talking about this, the Disinformation Governance Board.
Our Undersecretary for Policy, Rob Silvers, is co-chair with our Principal Deputy General Counsel, Jennifer Daskell, in leading a just recently constituted Misinformation, Disinformation Governance Board. So we're bringing, the goal is to bring the resources of the department together to address this threat.
Nina Jankowicz, who studies the intersection of democracy and technology, Clay, in Central and Eastern Europe, has advised the Ukrainian government on strategic communications and is some kind of an author. So this academic who does essentially information warfare as a specialty is going to be working for the Disinformation Office of the DHS. I understand right now they're saying it's just Russia. This is just like what we see in the social media platforms. Oh, it's only issues of health and safety. And then all of a sudden you said a man and a woman is not the same thing?
Yeah,
Banned, right? Does anyone think the DHS Disinformation Office will limit itself merely to the Russia issue? We'll talk more about Russia-Ukraine later on in the show. It's from 1984, the Ministry of Truth. I mean, this is truly, it is Orwellian. I know that's a phrase people use a lot, especially for anything in government they don't like, but they're creating, at some level, Clay, it's like they're running information operations, PSYOPs, against the American people. They're setting up the grounds for this. I was in the CIA. I know there are all these bright lines you're not supposed to cross. You're not supposed to be, operating and fooling the American people through the machinery of disinformation or propaganda. It's kind of what they're doing right now.
Well, and no doubt. I mean, she is supposedly a disinformation expert, and it's not going to surprise you. She's also a far left-wing activist who has been regularly sharing all sorts of disinformation, including the idea that the Hunter Biden story from the New York Post.
She's a laptop truther? She's a laptop truther? Oh, my gosh.
They have put in charge a group that is going to be in charge of disinformation that regularly has bought into disinformation that favors left-wing groups. So it's not a surprise. Not only is this a scary and Orwellian, and also, I should say, Harry Potterian. It's the Ministry of Magic there that basically is the same thing in the Orwell Ministry of Truth. This is what happens, Buck. You get older, you start reading kids' books, and the books that you read all get wrapped up in your brain. But it's basically the same concept that J.K. Rowling put into place in the Harry Potter books, building off of Orwell. They had the Ministry of Magic there, which was focused on what was allowed to be said and what the truth was in the world of Harry Potter, which is now what the Bidens are doing. And this is, we talked about who is actually making the decisions inside of the White House. The timing on this, to have it occur right as Elon Musk is buying Twitter, theoretically, although there are lots of conspiracy theories out there that this Elon Musk purchase of Twitter may not go through. So it may be a tumultuous 3 to 6 months as the government tries to throw, unfortunately, all sorts of roadblocks up to his potential acquisition, not to mention all of the other complexities that could arise. So I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm basing that, by the way, Buck, on what the stock has done. The Twitter is supposed to go private for $54.20, and right now it's still trading under $50 a share. So why would it not be closer? There's, in other words, a discount that's still applying there. Is there some apprehension about what might go on, about some of the obstacles that still might exist for Elon and what might be thrown up against him?
I will say that no one, you have to go back to Donald Trump himself. No one has been able to troll the hysterical libs at quite at quite the level of Elon. It would only be Trump who on Twitter has been able to get the same kind of reaction. You see last night he wrote something about how he's going to buy Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in, obviously joking, but it's just he knows poking at these people. One thing that's fascinating to watch, the left has entirely, they have really, as a function of ideological orthodoxy, removed any sense of irony, removed any sense of actual comedy and the joy of seeing the absurd and seeing things as funny. Their only version of comedy is ridiculing their political opponents narrowly to white male Republicans. That is essentially the only comedy the left can engage in, and Christianity. They'll slander, Christians and Christianity. But that's it. Other than that, no jokes allowed, nothing funny ever. And I think it's put them at a political disadvantage because we're funnier than they are.